Paul told us about it the next morning, slouched in the back row. 10, maybe 12 kids had rushed him at a bus stop the night before. He said it lasted 30 seconds. We all knew it would last longer than that. Paul told us the story next morning in the back row. His voice wasn't loud, and it wasn't dramatic. It was just flat, like he was still trying to believe it himself. Yeah, about 6 o'clock, 7ish maybe. Dark. I was at the bus stop on Sydney Road, the one outside the mechanic, the one with the 7-Eleven across the street. Just me by myself. Next thing I know, I'm shoved down head first. My Discman goes flying out of my jacket and skids onto the footpath. I thought they'd take it, but they didn't. They didn't care. They just started punching and kicking. 10, maybe 12 of them. And they came out of nowhere. They attacked me all at once. He paused. Like rats. We leant in, trying to picture it. I reckon I took 50 shots to the face. Easy. Casey squinted at him. 50? Mate, it just looks like you cut yourself shaving. That's all. Paul shook his head. That's the weird part. No bruises, no scratches. The weight of them was worse than the hits. A couple on each arm and leg. I couldn't even move. I couldn't swing back. It was like I was being mauled. A nervous laugh flickered through the back row, but no one really smiled. It didn't even last 30 seconds. I curled up, covered my head, and waited it out. Then, nothing. Quiet. No footsteps. No yelling. No sound at all. I peeked out, and they were gone. Vanished. I didn't even hear them run. They just disappeared into the night. Brad leant forward. You mean none of them stuck around? Not one, Paul said. I picked up my Discman, brushed myself off, and a minute later the bus came like nothing had happened. Marcel frowned. So you just got on the bus like normal, and no one noticed? Paul nodded. Yeah, just sat there. No one said a word. Simon asked the last question, almost disbelieving. What did your mum say when you got home? Paul gave a half shrug. Nothing. I didn't even tell her. Then he added, quieter, as if he was still trying to work it out himself. I didn't do nothing. Legit, nothing. They just rushed me. He paused. Then, almost like he'd been holding the line in reserve, he said, they need to put a cyclone fence around Port. That one stayed with us. Later, when you thought about it, that's exactly what it was. The rat stage. Not random, not meaningless, but a rite of passage. Every lost boy went through it, at least once. The swarm, the mauling, the pack. It was the only time they belonged to something bigger than themselves. Because by then, Mum and Dad had already given up. By grade 6 the rules were gone. The structure was gone. There wasn't a bedtime. There definitely wasn't homework. And no one was asking where you'd been. The pack was the only family left. And for a short window, it worked. It was the peak of rat existence. Young enough that your mum still threw food on the table. Old enough to crave the rush. Young enough that the cops shrugged it off. Old enough to want the risk. Old enough to play pretend at being a hard guy. Young enough that the stakes were still low. It never lasted long. 18 months. Maybe 2 years at most. You aged into it Then you drifted out again by about 13 or maybe 14. Not a graduation, not a choice, just floating away on a tide you couldn't control. It was an apprenticeship, an internship into the life. 30 seconds at a time. You got on the tools. You tested out the violence, tested out the belonging, learnt what it felt like to be a hard guy. No real consequences yet. No records. No bruises that stayed. Just enough chaos to know that what your life might look like if you stayed with it. And that was the tragedy. For all its pointlessness, for all its violence, that night on City Road was the best it would ever be. Later there'd be sex, or pub fights, or casino step punch-ons, or worse. There'd be drugs, rivalry, status, and possibly prison. But those would all fracture and turn bitter. The swarm was the only time it was pure. The only time it felt like belonging without betrayal. Their one true glory days. And even then, it was never about the boys themselves. The faces rotated, the names changed, but the pack remained. One boy disappeared, another filled the gap, and the swarm carried on. The membership shifted constantly, yet the essence never moved. Every act, every bruise, every rush of blood absorbed into it. By the time one drifted out, another was already there, carrying forward what the rest had done. The individuals didn't matter. The swarm remembered. I'd love to hear what you think. Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you found this story entertaining, hit that like button and don't forget to explore more content on my channel. See you in the next one.